Howdy, welcome to the show. We are finally starting after 15 minutes of making sure that our tech settings were good to go. And a potty break in there, dude. I got one of these, like, I'm like a basic, I can't say the word, but like I got the whole basic content creator starter kit with like the Stanley Cup thing. And now I drink like 3 gallons of water a day and have to pee every 5 minutes.
Great. I shouldn't be doing this, but I've just got this, like, I should have like
Yeti.
a larger, but this is just perfect. And it matches my hat, my shirt,
Yes.
everything is this color of blue.
Yeah. It looks like there's 2 silver floating rings, because
Yeah.
you have office camouflage.
I do.
Hard to see.
Blue screen.
It's like you're a floating beard. Your beard is hovering among tennis shoes.
Real quick, I got I know we're going to talk about SEO today.
Yeah.
I went to the barber shop and I got my beard.
Barbershop.
I had never done like a full blown barbershop experience before. I say full blown because I have a shaved head now, but like I did the half blown, the beard, and that was a top 10 experience in my life. God, phone, what are you doing? So that was
nice.
I highly recommend it for anybody that's like wanting to get their beard trimmed or just anything. But the hot towels, like I almost fell asleep in the chair. It's like hot towels and the
old man barbershops are the best. It's such a great experience. Like it's, there was before we moved down from Fort Worth. The only reason I didn't do this was because we were moving and it was an annual thing. But there's certain like barbershops, especially like these chains, like the Boardroom, for example.
Yeah.
It's like you go in and you get a beer or you pour a whiskey and there's a pool table while you wait. And then you get the whole thing. But you can do the membership where you can come as often as you want, up to once a week. And you can get the whole thing. And that was like, that's on, I can't get it now, but that I almost did it. And I almost did it, even though I wasn't going to get to use the full year, because I love going to the barbershop. When I was in the Corps, we had to get haircuts like every week.
Yeah.
And I loved that. Like we were required to, but I was like, this is the best. And so if I could do that, where you could go in, and they used to do it, like they would actually like do the whole thing and you'd get the shave. Not that I have a beard to take care of, but you'd get the shave, you'd get the hot towel on the neck. And they would do the shampoo, which is like a head massage. Like that to me, like that's like the dude massage is going to. Now that was a little different than a barbershop. Like if you go to the old man barbershop, they're not shampooing your head and massaging your head.
Yeah.
But the hot towel and the hot shaving cream.
And unfortunately, I didn't click record until halfway through your speech there. So what we are talking about, like I forgot I had to hit record no BS. But what we're talking about is I went and got my beard trimmed at a legit barbershop, and it was fantastic. Hot towel, all the stuff. The lady like put me to sleep. She massaged my scalp, which I was not expecting. That was a little weird. But
it feels good though.
Man. Felt great. Dude, and then they did the cold towel at the end to seal it all up.
Did they do the like hand wax thing?
No, I didn't I could have gotten that. But I didn't know what they had. It was like they have a menu. This place was called a Gents Place. Okay,
it's the same kind of thing as Dallas. Boardroom.
Yeah, it's like basically like, I've never been to Boardroom, but my dad went there and he said it was basically the same. But yeah, you go in, they give you a whiskey. And they were like, do you want this? You want this? You want this? And I was like, okay, well, like, what do you do for like bald guys with beards? Like, what is it? And they're like, this is the thing you should do. And I was like, okay. So, but I know that there's way more. But man, it's
great.
Fantastic.
I did the hand wax thing. It was like for free. It's like I got like a Groupon or something and like went there the first time I tried it. And they put your hands in like this like wax stuff. I don't remember what it was. And then it was like you pull it out and you just have like clear goop like all on your hands. And then it like they crack it, peel it off, and then they're like massaging your arm, and then your hands feel like weirdly smooth like for a week after that. I have no idea what the purpose of it was, but it felt cool.
Are you hairless on your arms after that? Is it like that kind of okay.
No, so I don't actually know what the purpose of it was. It was like, this was like 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But I just remember it felt cool.
Okay.
I never did that part again though. So
yeah.
But dude, we got a barbershop in town. I take the boys there, and It's cool. It's like all old rock and roll memorabilia, like looks like a traditional barbershop. It's just a bunch of old dudes that have like the massive beards I'm super jealous of, you know?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And they do the hot towel and everything. It's great.
Yeah. I don't even remember why I started talking about that, but it's
I
just,
don't
you asked me how things are going, and I don't know, for some reason, that's the thing that popped up in my head. But
know.
yeah, anyway,
Treat
so
yourself.
you wanted to talk about search engine optimization.
Well, like last episode, you were talking to me about the TikTok stuff. I was telling you kind of what I was seeing, what was happening there. So it's been really interesting the last couple of weeks. And then, but prior to that, I had asked you some stuff about SEO, and you gave me like a 2-minute spiel, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that yet necessarily, but we had talked about it. And so in the last episode, we were like, hey, let's dive into that. So I don't remember what the question was specifically, but I think you were talking about your process of how you go and kind of find keywords and think about your desired outcome and how you reverse engineer it. And I know one of the things that you said was like you're actually starting bottom of funnel and working your way. And so I'm just gonna butcher it. So I guess like let's dive into like if somebody's trying to, this is just general SEO. I know you're coming from a Google perspective, but I think that this advice is great for it'd probably be great for YouTube or Pinterest or not, TikTok. SEO is still kind of developing, but I think it's just a good practice for developing content in general. If you have like a purpose to your content, like that you want to drive people to an end destination. So,
yeah. Well, I think, it's definitely like when we talked about this, and I can't remember exactly what your question was because it's more YouTube centric. I focus on a lot of Google SEO, but I think that really what it comes down to, like, this isn't even an SEO thing. Like, I think SEO is such a massive topic, and I don't know, everybody says Google's dying and YouTube, everything, like AI and all that stuff. But like what it comes down to is like just understanding, I think, what if you have a product, like understanding what your customer is thinking about, or actually what your customer might be thinking about. And if you're trying to figure out like, what should I create content around, or what should I, what keywords should I find or whatever, like, I think just understanding and really doing it, it doesn't even have to be a deep dive, but really just thinking about like, what are the kinds of questions and kind of things that somebody that might want to buy this product, like what would they be asking or thinking about? And so like, I do like to start, we talk about top of funnel and bottom of funnel. There's like the classic marketing funnel. And I think every like online marketer, anybody who just sells anything should understand this stuff. But like the classic funnel is like awareness at the top. People are problem aware, and then interest, and then consideration, and then intent, and then evaluation, and then purchase, so like there's this kind of like, people go into the top of funnel and it's like, they're just kind of problem aware. They're just like thinking about something. And basically it just comes down to like, as they move down the funnel, they're becoming serious buyers. And that, at the bottom of the funnel, they're going, I either want to buy this thing or I want to buy this thing. Which one do I want to buy? It's not a question of if they should do it or, how it will help them. It's more just like, I'm going to buy which one. So like, I like to start at the bottom and just kind of like conceptually work up, because it makes more sense to me. I don't know if that's the way you should think about it, but to me, it's like, if I have a product, and maybe we just make up a product.
You had, the way you had phrased it to me was like, you figure out the whole spectrum of the questions from start to finish on that journey. And then you like to start with the last question before the sale, because that can lead to sales, which really, I guess that surprised me. I was thinking you would go more for like the land grab, like the bigger spot and work your way down, because it would get you more traffic. But it makes sense. Like you want to make money. Like,
well, yeah. Well, so from an SEO, and this is like, there's two parts to this. From an SEO perspective, and I think this is probably the same on YouTube, it's like those questions, those like high intent, buyer type questions typically don't have a lot of volume on them and don't have a lot of competition on them. Like everybody tends to like go for, if you're using any of these search like tools, Ahrefs or, whatever, people are like, I want to get the most traffic possible. And what I've kind of found over the years is like traffic is great, but buyers obviously are way, way better and like conversions are way better. So like the way that I like to think about it is like, what is what are the burning questions that somebody's asking right before they buy something? And let's target that first. Cause usually it's like, there's almost no competition on it because people don't want to target it because they're like, I don't want to waste my time trying to target something that has 1,000 searches or less per month. But it's like, that's where the gold is. I feel like, and I think it's the same thing just with your marketing in general. Like the gold is like you're solving the problem, right? So like, that's where I like to start because it makes sense to me to like it's like building a case, like you're a lawyer or something, you're building a case for why they should buy the product. And so it's like, I like to target that. If somebody wants to buy I don't know, if somebody wants to buy like an ice cream machine, I'm just going to make this up. If they're buying an ice cream machine, like what are the questions that a person would ask about right before they buy? And typically it's going to be something like, should I buy this ice cream machine or this kind of ice cream machine? Or how much, and this might even be a little bit further up, but like, how much does this cost? Or can I get a discount for, or like coupon codes for that?
Sure.
It's like for this ice cream machine, like those are the things people like right before they pull the trigger, they're going to be thinking about that. And so like, I like to sit down and think about all the questions that are relevant at that level. So it could be, super ice cream machine versus, I don't know, ultra ice cream machine. Or it might be three of them, together. It's just like all those variations and the comparisons that we've seen. The comparison keywords tend to convert really, really well because that's high intent traffic. It's also the things like, they're at the checkout cart and they're trying to get a discount, or they're, just all those questions. So I brainstorm that, and then I start going more vague from there and start building out a strategy beyond that. So then it's like, okay, well, before somebody gets to, which ice cream machine am I going to buy? They're thinking about things like, do I need an ice cream machine? Or, what kind of ice cream can I make with an ice cream machine? This might be a terrible example using an ice cream machine.
Well, I was going to say, is there like I don't know that it's a terrible example, but
it's just a weird one.
I have a hard time taking that comparison and applying it to something more like coaching or a service. Like if you're like in the online space and you're a creator, or you are putting out content, then you probably have a digital product, or you're a coach, or you have a freelance service, like you're an agency like myself or something like that. Like I guess I have a harder time seeing like, what is that specific thing? Because is it just like, should I hire an agency to run my Facebook ads? Like, it feels really weird to make a video where it's like, you should 100% hire somebody to run your Facebook ads for you to scale your business. And I'm the person, so like,
but that would be more like pros and cons. Like, let's say, if we just take that, like it's, you're selling just Facebook ad services.
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, you don't have, that's if you're using me as an example, but.
Sure. Yeah. So I don't know. They'll just kind of work through what I think I would do. So Facebook ad services, like what would be the question like right before they're going to work with you or someone else? And that's really what it comes down to. Like, they don't know usually who they're exactly going to work with. So it would be something like at the very bottom of that funnel, it would be like red dirt services review, I feel like. And I'm not like, I'm just doing this on the fly. So some of this might be like a little bit off, but like if they've zeroed in on you and they're like, I want to work with this person, but I want to check out some reviews first. Like, those typically do really well, like red dirt services review. But then like a step above that would be like you versus another company, red dirt versus, I don't know, some other company. So it's like, they're deciding between you or someone else. But I kind of almost put like, those are almost at the same level where it's like, they're really just like, they're about to make that purchasing decision. They're about to book a call with you, and they're trying to figure out, like, they're trying to learn more about you, the product, you versus other products. Like, it kind of gets to me like, you can break it down into smaller chunks, but those are the types of questions that they're going to be kind of thinking. And, and then when you start to kind of move up from that, then it's going to be like, I don't know, like
you said, the pros and cons of like hiring somebody.
yeah, like, should I hire a Facebook ad service? How much do Facebook ads cost? How much does it cost to hire an ad agency? How do ad services work? Things like that, where it's like they know, like, okay, I'm really interested in hiring an ad service, but I don't know like which one or what, but I just want to learn more about it. So those aren't high intent people. Those are kind of like mid intent. Like they're probably going to go with, a Facebook ad service. They might still be looking at things like Facebook ads versus Google ads or something like that, where they're kind of still trying to decide, like, our Facebook ads, yeah. And then like, if we're going to go just very broad here, like at the very kind of top levels, they're going to be thinking about like, how do I run ads for my business, or how do I grow my business? What are the best ways to grow a business in 2023? Stuff like that, where it's like, they're just at the very beginning, the idea stage of like, okay, I really want to grow my business. What should I do? How do I do it? And so like, that's kind of how it works. Like people funnel down from that, but like people, how to grow my business in 2023. And I haven't looked at the keyword research on this, but that probably how to grow my online business, or how to grow my business with ads, even if we're going to go a level kind of deeper than that, that probably has way more volume than something like red dirt services versus whatever. So, but if you start at that bottom level of the funnel and you start creating content around that first, then all you're doing is scooping up people that are already super high aware, super high intent, and those are like, maybe there's 20 people searching per month for that or less. But that those people, if they get on a call with you, are going to be very interested. Like they're going to be like, they've thought about this a lot. They really understand what's going on. They've found out about you through word of mouth or whatever. And they're like, okay, I'm going to potentially work with this guy. I just want to make sure it's a good fit. That's the person you want to call with you. What you don't want is a person that's Googling something like, or searching on YouTube, and they're like, how do I grow my business? Like, cause then, and all of a sudden, like you get on a call with that person, you're not just telling them, you're having to sell them on the idea of running ads to grow the business, the idea of running Facebook ads specifically, the idea of paying a retainer for those services, the idea of working with you instead of somebody else when they haven't done any research on all the other people. So like that sales call is not going to go well. But the person that's like, I'm just choosing between you and this other company, or I've seen a lot about you, I just want to know more about you before I pull the trigger. Like that's who you want. So that's the way I think about this stuff. It's just like, you're just asking questions and you're just trying to put yourself in the buyer's mindset. Like, and then you build up, because like those lower volume keywords aren't going to have any competition. You're going to rank really well. You're going to scoop up the people that are just buyers right away. And then it becomes a game of like, okay, I want to get more people that are like that. So how can I move them through that funnel? So that's the way I think about it. Now, some content marketer might come along and be like, that's a dumb way to do it. You should start at the top of the funnel and you should just do like very basic awareness content and all of that. But it's like, okay, but that takes a long time. Like I'd rather get some people I'd rather have less good leads on a call. I'm sorry. I'd rather have less leads on a call that are all awesome.
Yeah.
Versus tons of crappy leads that have no idea, because that's demoralizing. Like, you can, and then, so that's just the way, I don't know if that's probably not as crisp of an example as I gave you the other day, but like, I do think if it bottom up, I think you can do it either way. I think it's more just like, to me, I want to make the money faster. So how do I do that? So like anytime I'm looking at selling something via Google or really anything, it's like, what is the last thing before somebody purchases? Like, what are they thinking about? And let's target that, because it's going to take us a while to rank on it anyway. So let's target that. And then once we've done that, let's move on to these other kind of like lesser, higher volume things that are going to take email marketing and text messaging. And like, if somebody comes in, like a good example, I don't want to go all the way into the details of what we do, but like if somebody's looking for side hustles, or if somebody's just looking for a way to make money, and, Facebook, actually I can use like Facebook side hustle is a good example of this. Like if somebody searches for how to make an extra $1,000 a month, like that's not a high intent person. Like you can't just slap Facebook side hustle in front of that person and they're going to just buy it. I mean, you might get a couple that do it like that, but like, they're just like, how do I make extra money? Like, I need to make extra money. What are all the different ways to do it? That person might be interested in flipping items on eBay. That person might be interested in like taking online surveys. Like, so you're going to get a lot of volume, but like, you're not going to get the super high intent people. But then if you get somebody that's looking at something like, best Facebook ads course, or,
Sure.
Facebook ad or Facebook side hustle review, like that person knows, like, I want to do ad management. I just want to figure out the best way to do it. So it's like, I'd rather target that first. There's not going to be a ton of competition on it. And the people that come in are going to be like ready to buy, so that just makes more sense to me from a timeline perspective. I feel like you can always build out and get more people in the top of the funnel. But the thing that happens when you get people in the top of the funnel is like, especially with Google, like they might come in and hit you one of your like very low intent, high volume, just kind of top level awareness pages that you've built. And it's like, they're going to bounce. Most likely they're going to just scroll and bounce, because that's all they do. They scroll and bounce, scroll and bounce, scroll and bounce. So then it's a game of like trying to get them on your email list, trying to get them to opt in for a lead magnet. And then you're going to have to nurture that person and all of that. And it's like, you can start there for sure. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like, you're taking the longest possible path to money that way, and the most complicated path, versus taking the fastest path. Maybe it's not a ton of money because it's not a ton of volume, but fastest path to money. And then all of a sudden you can start taking that money and investing in more content and more email and more, nurturing, more SMS. Like, that's just the way that I think about it. So I don't know.
It's very interesting because it's so different than like paid, you're talking about like, hey, nobody goes after the specific stuff, the bottom of the funnel stuff. Whereas like when I think about paid traffic, everybody goes for the 5% of people that are ready to buy today. And there's so much competition there, and it becomes so expensive. And so one of the things we always try to tell people is like, we want to get those people, but we want to do it in a way that is more affordable and where we can capture other people and then nurture them, and so like the example that I always give is like fitness, because everyone can relate to it. Like you want to get the people that are ready to hire a fitness coach to help them lose weight, but everybody's going after those people. And so if you can get those people in a way that also gets the people at different stages of the journey, and you can just be providing value and building trust with them, then when they get to that, you're helping them get to that point long term, then you're going to be even more profitable. And so it's like, can we make the ads profitable with those people, but in doing that, get a bunch of the other people? Like, can we get the person that's like, I need to lose weight, but my wife decided to order pizza tonight, so I'm going to eat half of a large pizza on my own because I don't have that self-control yet or that desire. Can I get, where it's like you're trying, but it's not working, or you're trying and then you fell off. Like, you get those people on the journey and you help them go from, I need to lose weight, but I don't want to try, to, okay, I'm trying, but I don't know what to do. Okay, I know what to do, but I can't stick to it, to, I need somebody, So it's interesting because it's almost the opposite problem.
Yeah, it is, and this is where everybody, I think, gets into like, if you talk to people that are like SEOs, like they're just hardcore Google. I'm not like loyal to really any of these platforms. I don't care about this. To me, it's just, they're just tools to like get people to the products that can help them, but like Google people typically say something like, the quality is just so much better over a Facebook. Like, Facebook takes a lot of flack, I think, for like having quote unquote low quality traffic, but it's not, to me, it's not even that. It's just like, you just have the ability with Google to target people at their intent level. So if they're super high intent, you can target them, and very specifically target them because you know what they're searching for. You've done that, but it's harder to do volume. There's so much more competition. You can't just turn it on. It takes forever. And then Facebook, obviously you're targeting people that are usually not even problem aware, or they might be problem aware, but it's like the copy does a lot of the filtering and the landing pages and all that stuff. What I think is like, what I found to be very successful so far is the combination of like, let's build out really high quality, or, I said quality, but high intent traffic in Google. And then let's use that traffic to fuel our lookalike audiences and retargeting for the Facebook side of things. Because then it's like, you know, I can leave out all the people that are like not anywhere close to making a buying decision.
Sure.
And then I can just really like flesh out maybe it's lower volume, and you do need volume for Facebook for these lookalike audiences and stuff. But like if you build out enough low volume search of high intent buyers around a certain topic, then you have enough volume that you can then take to Facebook.
Those lookalikes become really powerful.
And and then all of a sudden you've got quality lookalike audiences of high intent people. And then you can just keep kind of like, you're just targeting like the best people. And that's where retargeting and doing prospecting, it's like you can use that as your base for just straight up retargeting and get people to buy that have been to your page on your site that came from some super high intent Google search. Like then they jump off to Facebook or Instagram and you're hitting them again.
Right.
And then also you're doing just kind of like top level prospecting for your funnel based on those audiences as well. And you can mix it up. Like you have to kind of blend them a little bit and everything. But like, to me, that makes the most sense. It takes a long time to build that out, but I don't think a lot of people do. I don't think enough people do that.
I think us working together has caused us to kind of blend these almost two worlds to our benefit, because really it's amazing. Like it's almost like the paid traffic and the organic traffic worlds are like totally different, or the content creator versus like the coach or like the product creator worlds are like different, and you need both skills, but they're really good at one side of the coin. And it's like that. Yeah. I mean, when I work with a coach that's running paid traffic, the ones that are most successful are the ones that have spent the most money, and we can create the best lookalike audiences, and it just becomes this like thing. And the people that scale the fastest, it's because they kind of take a chance and they push it, and they're able to build up that base audience, and we can get to those lookalikes sooner. And then it just snowballs. And the people that play small and they stay there and they're afraid to take a chance, they never get out of that zone. They never get that traction. It's interesting. So to me, like just to kind of take what you had said earlier about the content, I'm going to try and like, this is how I pictured it. And you can tell me if this seems right or not, but maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's another key point. So it's kind of like people are like, I have a problem, and they're looking for a solution. So there's like the problem aware, here's potential solutions. And then you have your personal solution to the problem. Like that's your product. And so it's almost like you're selling them on the method first. So it's like, you have this problem. These are potential solutions. This is my preferred solution. You're selling them on the method. And once you've sold them on the method, then you're selling them on you. And I think one of the best examples I've heard, and this is actually just for sales. Like when we talk about when you get people on a call, before the call, it's all about the method. And then at the call is about your service, your solution. And the best example I've ever heard of that is like ClickFunnels. Russell Brunson is not, until you're making a purchase, he's never selling you ClickFunnels. He's selling you the idea that you need a funnel and you need a funnel builder. And then once you've decided you need a funnel builder, he's selling you ClickFunnels. So it's almost like here's the problem, here's the solution, sell them on whatever the method is. So like for you, like if you were trying to sell people into SEO stuff, you're like, look, here's all the different ways. And like, I'm recommending Google, and specifically I'm recommending going after the high intent stuff first. And like, that method makes a lot of sense. I want to do that. Okay, here's my high intent SEO course.
Yeah.
Like that would be almost like the journey. And then, so you would start with the people searching about high intent stuff. And then you would go to, here's all the different ways you can do it on Google, the different strategies, pros and cons or whatever. And then here's the different platforms you can use to get the search traffic. And then the problem is like, I want search traffic, or I don't have search traffic or whatever. Is that?
Yeah, I think that's a good characterization. I think the thing that people, and I know this because I did this, but I see it all the time. Like, I think where people screw this up with SEO, and especially with like content marketing and blogging and stuff like that, and Google and even the YouTube side, like they're trying to figure out like keyword density and keyword, I don't know, volume and all that kind of stuff. Like I think everybody leaves out the intent piece. Like the intent piece is the massive piece of the puzzle, but a lot of people start with just like, they're desperate for some kind of traffic. And so like people are like, because the advice of like go after low volume keywords or long tail keywords, like that's been around forever. But what you see is then people, I mean, I see this in huge blogs all the time. They go after these long tail keywords and these like very, very low volume things that they can rank on that have nothing to do with anything that they're selling. Like, there's a massive, well, I'm going to say massive, there's a bunch of personal finance bloggers that go after free stickers and things like that, which that's actually a high volume, but it's kind of a relevant example to this, where it's like the traffic's there, the opportunity's there, so they go for it, but then they get this traffic to their site and there's nothing they can do with it. You can't build a lookalike audience. You can't sell that person into some kind of investing product. Like you can't do anything with them. And maybe sure you're making money on like display ads and stuff like that, but it's not going to get you to it's not going to help you scale like a multi 7-figure company on that kind of traffic. Like, so like, but you see like newer bloggers, like, or just newer content creators in general, like they'll go after like either something that's high volume that they just are like, oh, I can rank for that. And it has nothing to do with anything that they sell or want to sell. Or they'll go after something super low volume with no competition that doesn't have good intent. It's just something that people don't really Google very much, and it doesn't matter very much, but they're just doing it to rank for something and get some people on their website. And I think that that's where a lot of people kind of mess up, because they're not thinking about the intent and the volume at the same time. Like low intent and high volume, awesome. High volume, low intent can be awesome if you know how to move people through the funnel. But like high volume, bad intent, or like just ridiculous intent, free stickers, it's useless for your brand almost, outside of just a pure money play. And same thing with like low volume, low intent. Like it's just like, why would you spend time, money, effort going after that stuff? And so that's usually what people kind of mess up. They're just chasing traffic just to chase it. It's like, no, you got to really think through these customers and like, what are they thinking about? What would they Google? Why would they Google that? How close are they to making a buying decision based on what they just, these questions? So anyway, that's where it's like, you have to think about the stuff.
So like, I've always, heard like you want to get high volume, low competition. And so you're almost like, you're going out as short tail as you can to where you can hit that. But like, really, I mean, it sounds like if you're going after some of these keywords, I know something that I've seen when I've looked into, researching things is like, there might be something that's like really relevant. Like, I know these are questions people are asking, but it just seems like the volume is super low. So, and this from like us, like even with Laptop Empires, some of the stuff we do where it's just like low volume, at least on Google. I feel like there's probably more volume for some of that stuff on YouTube. But is there like a cutoff where you're like, this is just, I'm not even looking at this because it's so low volume? Or is it more like, I'm putting this out there because I know it's going to get the right views? Or, it could be not.
I have a general, this is a general rule and we break it all the time, but like if it has less than 1,000 searches per month estimated, because all those search estimations, search traffic numbers and all that are all estimated. If it has less than 1,000, typically, no, we don't focus on it unless we've already built out a lot around the low volume, high intent keywords. And we're like, how can we make this even better? How can we get the highest quality people? Like, we'll go down the rabbit hole a little bit further. If something has like 20 searches a month, no, we're not going after that. But like, I tend to be more aggressive on that stuff. Like I'd rather keep going for quality, even if it's really low volume. Now, this is where you get into Google versus YouTube and other things. Like sometimes, depending on how you structure your article, if you're trying to optimize it for Google, you can scoop up a lot of those really, really low volume, low intent keywords with a single article. And that should be the goal. Like you always try to do that, but sometimes you don't. And sometimes it's like, sometimes the intent is like, I don't want to get too far in the weeds here, but like sometimes you might just need to write a different article for those keywords. Like if there's like a really low volume, super like ultra high intent, like that person's going to book a call and buy an $8,000 product. Like I'll go after that. Especially if we can't seem to get another related article that also scoops up a lot of those low intent keywords, or I'm sorry, high intent keywords. Like if we can't seem to get it to rank for that one, like we'll throw a flyer out and like throw one at like that, just a completely separate article that only targets that specific keyword. Because, you know, sometimes like when people search for something, it might mean something totally different. That, you know,
Yeah,
I'm
I've
trying to
seen
think of
examples of that. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but where it's like you think they're searching for one thing and then you realize like, oh, they are looking for something totally irrelevant.
yeah. Well, what's one of the food deliveries or like Grubhub? Like if somebody does it, well, this is a good example. Like if you were to Google Grubhub review, like, is that a person that wants to work for Grubhub searching for that? Or is that a person that's trying to order
Is
from
this a good
Grubhub?
service? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a good service or is it a good place to work for? And so like, that's where you kind of have to start really thinking about like, well, what does the person mean? Right. And a lot of times Google just tells you, like, if you Google that keyword, the results that bubble up are going to be,
Sure.
you know, it's going to be like Grubhub shopper review or whatever. Or, you know, things like that are going to be the things that pop up. So then you go, oh, okay, that's the keyword intent for this. So that's what we need to focus on. But a lot of people miss that too. Like they don't even, like a lot of like people that are writing content or creating content, like they'll just assume that it means something and they don't look at the search results and go like, what is Google telling us that people want here?
Yeah.
Because that's really what it comes down to. Like Google's saying like, this is what we think people want, or this is what we know people really mean by this keyword. And so they miss that part of it too. And so you kind of get into that with the low volume stuff. Yeah. The low volume, high intent stuff too. It's like, you might just need to really think about like, is this person, do they mean something a little bit different? You know, is there just like a shade of difference between this and other things that we already rank for? Does this deserve its own article? But then that also comes down to how much is the thing that you're selling to those people. Like if you're booking people on a call and, you know, for an $8,000 product, then it's worth it to go after that. If you're selling them a survey that you might get $3 a month from, then it's not,
right.
You know, so those are all the kind of considerations that go into this stuff. But, you know, I think going back to your kind of like, everybody says go after high volume and like short keywords. That's totally cool. But you also have to
high
have
volume, low competition, which like everybody volume knows that. It's like common sense, I would think, but like everybody's trying to do that.
And that's fine to go after, but like don't expect to make a lot of money from it unless you have all of your down funnel marketing fleshed out. Like you're gathering SMS, you're gathering text messages, you're pulling people in via email, right? And then you're nurturing those people. And then like the email part of it, we didn't even talk about this before. It's like, you know, there's, you know, getting a bunch of high intent volume, creating lookalike audiences on Facebook. But like, if you're pulling people in from those like high volume keywords, you're going to probably have to, you're going to have to nurture those people for a long time. And then you can eventually through automations and segmentation, like you get people that become buyers, and then you can start taking those people and then you add that to your Facebook ad strategy where you're just uploading CSVs of like those specific emails that have done really well and are super high intent. And so you're building it that way. But like, if you're going to go after that top level stuff, that's high volume, like and you want to make a lot of money from it, like you've really got to build out all of the email marketing and all of the follow-up marketing. And then like retargeting ads come into that. Like, so it becomes an environment. Yeah. I don't know if we're
which you need to build the environment anyway, but you need a place to start. I think I have a couple of things from this that, you know, I've thought about from, you know, conversations I see happening. And like, so like, for example, like one of the things that I see a lot on TikTok right now is the niche versus like, you have to topically niche versus you are the niche, right? Like being the personality versus like the topic. And like, I really think the best creators I've seen on YouTube and other platforms, they do both. Right.
I think so too.
Like I talked to a YouTube creator this morning. I had a call with her, and I thought one of the things that she did great was she taught about YouTube, but you got to know her in the content. You got to know her personality. It was almost like she was not a like a vlogger, but there was just like this lifestyle element to how she put her content together. Like you felt she was the niche, but she was talking about something very specific. And like, I feel like that's probably the best way to go. But the thing that goes with that is like categorization. right? Like, and that's kind of, to me, when I look at that conversation, the battle, and nobody like a lot of people don't know what TikTok is like, they're trying to figure out like, no, they need to categorize you as this is what you are and this is what you talk about, so they know who to show your content to, versus like, no, they like you so you can talk about whatever. So I'm curious, like from your experience with blogs and stuff, I know Google categorizes. Should you, if you're starting out, like try to really go like, this is my category? Or is it better to go, this is like the big picture, and maybe there are these kind of, these topics that I can speak on that these people might be interested in, but maybe they're not, they're more loosely connected. So like, for example, like I'll just like kind of use me, for example, like I could talk to, if I'm talking to a coach and I want them to eventually hire me for, hire my agency, like I can talk to them about growing on TikTok to get traffic. I can talk to them about developing their offer, their product. I can talk to them about monetizing their traffic, or like the strategy of turning their follower into a sale, and like all of that real, like that sales pipeline management stuff that I spend so much time with my clients on. So, is it, but that's something I've thought about, and I see people debating. There's no like clear answer, and you might not have a clear answer, but it's like, okay, if I'm talking about TikTok, but I'm talking about courses, like they're a course creator is probably interested in both, but can you talk about multiple things, or do you need to talk about a thing? And like, you were a personal finance blog and you found your space talking about making money, but you talked about a lot of stuff. So I'm just like curious, if you're starting out, do you try to just put out all the things, or do you try to be a little more focused from day? I guess you discovered your thing by being less focused. So I'm interested in your thoughts on this.
So if you're going back and if I'm teaching somebody how to do it, like I didn't take courses or do anything when I started. So I just kind of wandered around for a long time until I kind of figured out what I wanted. I don't know if that was good or bad. I feel like I've developed a really good strategy now, but if I was like going back and doing it again, like I would pick, I think it's somewhere in the middle, kind of with both of the things that you were talking about. Like, I think that you don't just go super, super, super broad and just talk about anything, because I think that that's hard to keep up with. It's hard to create a brand around that. And it's hard to like focus your efforts in a way that's going to help you win in business. I don't think that, so I actually think, like we focus on making money. So that involves, there's a lot of directions that we can go with that, but it's not infinite. And it's like, then we strategically pick, okay, within making money, what can we talk about that makes sense? And so then we pick 3, 4, 5 categories, and then we really flesh those categories out all the way down to those low volume, high intent keywords. So that makes the most sense to me, because then you're focused and people come to your brand and they know what you're about, but then there's subcategories within that you can go deeper and deeper down a rabbit hole. And some people are going to be super interested in some things. Some people aren't going to be interested in those things, but they're all pretty closely related. So you're going to get some cross-pollination between your customers. You're going to be able to cross-sell a little bit, but ultimately, like, your people know what they're coming to your site for, or your brand for. So I think that's kind of I don't know if it's the best strategy, but I think it's the one that makes the most sense to me if you're trying, because what you can do is you can pigeonhole yourself into such a small niche that there's no ability to scale. And so like with Millennial Money Man, like I'm trying to create, a very large company. And to do that, and this is, I don't want to get too advanced here, but like we could focus on just making money on Google and make a bunch of money and do really well. But then you start to think about like the overall brand and like, where do we take that, and like content. So like Google just becomes like a small piece of the larger puzzle. But when you're just starting out, like, you can only really focus on one thing, because like you're not hiring a bunch of people. So yeah, I think it is that like focus on something that is very specific, but gives you the ability to maybe create a few products around that topic. I like that it's not the simplest business model, but I like it from a scalability. Like I think that it gives you, you can make more than $100,000 a year with something like that.
Sure.
So that's what I think. And I think that makes sense too from a branding perspective. I don't think that just going out there and talking about anything and just building the brand solely around you, like that's fine. I guess that's more of like a Logan Paul, like the whole brand is pretty much about him, right? But then he's got to get into a million different things. Like, what is he selling? He's got to sell crypto stuff. He's got to sell t-shirts. He's got to sell energy drinks. He's got to sell, and you can do that because he's got so much volume, but he just specifically built the brand around him. And that to me is probably a more difficult path from a business standpoint, like actually scaling a business. Cause like now you're focusing on wildly different things. Like
Right.
everything that you do is completely different and you're stretched so thin in so many different places. You've got to hire all these people to manage all the different arms of the business. And you can build like that too. That sounds like a little bit harder of a path than like, focusing in a little bit more, picking something a little more specific and still having yourself in the brand or like having good brand, but like being a little bit more focused.
It's probably yeah. I mean, it's tough, man. Like there's so much, it's so funny. Like, cause we've created content with Laptop Empires and I've been around it, but I wasn't creating stuff myself. So it's
right.
there's a lot of things like, I'm like, man, I'm kind of in these like beginner shoes again, where it's like, you're trying to like make decisions and figure out, but then you have like, there's so much conflicting advice. And then in a place like TikTok, where I'm doing the bulk of my creating right now, some really young people there that are successful. And so you take everything with like a grain of salt because it's like, okay, you're 19. Like you've figured some things out, but like whereas like you've been around a while now, it's
that's
interesting.
A nice way of calling me old, but it's true. But as I've gotten older,
we are old in the business world. We're like dinosaurs.
In the online
our
business
editor
world.
who's watching this right now will tell everybody.
That's all perspective though. Like I hang out with, 45, 55, 70-year-old people that own their business. Like it's all perspective. In the online business, yes, we're old. But I think to me, it's actually less of a question of what's the best strategy, but it's more of like, what do you want? What do you want? What is the outcome that you want for your business? If you want to build a personal brand and it's you just being you, and you can just go on and record content, be you, and talk about things you like, you can make a good 80 to 100,000 a year, I think, doing that, where, you get sponsorships and, you don't take it to like the next level, but you live a good life and you're just creating content. But like, if you're like, I want to build something more focused than that and something that sells this specific product, then I think your efforts have to be more focused. And then if you're like, I want to build an empire, then that's a totally different set of things that you focus on. So I think that actually, once I decided, I don't know, if I could go back and do it all again, I would go, here's specifically what I want to build. I want, a media company, that does X amount in revenue per year and looks like this and allows me to have these things in my life. So then, okay, that's what I want to build. Now I got to work backward. How do I build that? And then it's like, okay, well, I need to have, a lot of Google traffic. I need to have X amount of YouTube traffic. Like you start kind of just going through the process of like, what does it take to get to the end goal? Like that makes a lot more sense to me to look at it that way. Than like, just should I only focus on content in a specific niche, or should I only focus on content about me? And that's how I'm going to grow. Like if there's no bigger picture to that, then it's going to be really difficult to actually go somewhere.
Yeah.
So
I think we can put a pin in this. And like, this is a whole other conversation, because I think there's a really interesting conversation here about building a brand versus building a personal brand. And
we could talk about that.
I think that there's pros and cons to both. And just to like tease it, like a personal brand gives you, like, using your name gives you a lot of flexibility in your interest will change and you'll do different things over time. And as long as you're always going to be doing, and you're always going to be creating, then it allows you the ability to move around. I think like Gary Vee's like a great example of this, like the most obvious example of like, it's his name and it's wine, and then it's social media, and then it's like investing, and like, then it's like productivity and hustle. Like he's kind of gone through all these different things. And it's like, if you are like, I always want to be creating, I always want to be the face, like this is a great way to do it. Whereas a brand, Laptop Empires, allows us to create something that we can build, and we wouldn't have to be part of it forever. It's hard. It would be hard to pivot off of Mike Yonda, and make that not be me. Right. But you can, you can do that with like a brand name. Sure. So I think it's, now, sure, he's got Vayner Media and all that. Like, so there's ways, but it's interesting. And I think in some ways, the personal brand might be easier to start than the brand. Yeah. So,
well, let's talk about that next time then.
Let's talk about that.
I got a lot of, because I'm in the middle of that right now. Like,
dude, yeah, let's talk about it.
I'm literally right in the middle of trying to figure that out.
Because you are the millennial money man.
Yes. Okay, but
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, we'll talk about
next episode. So if you want to hear it, you better subscribe or you might miss it. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever the hell you listen to podcasts. And see you next time.